Hey everyone, Ken here. Welcome to Long Game Yoga. On this flow, we're going to look at putting a little bit of extra tension on the back and the posterior chain in general and the front. So a little bit of strengthening, a little bit of stretching. These things can help keep us, upright with good posture. We use those muscles for so many different things. So it's good to, kind of hone in and give them a little bit of work. So for this flow, I'm going to recommend 2 blocks and a strap. Have the strap handy. We're going to start on our back and just come down flat with your legs stretched out in front of you. Your arms can start down by your side. As always, I do like to spend a little bit of extra time here. So, feel free to just pause the video. Give yourself 3 or 4 minutes of just rest time here. Bringing that awareness into your breath, into your body, seeing how you're feeling. And of course, as with every flow, if you're working with some kind of injury, just modify it or skip. Anything that doesn't feel good, please don't do. And then just start to come into the breath. Pull each inhale all the way down as if you're pulling it right into your belly. And then see if you can fill the lungs up all the way to your collarbones. And like I said, take as much time as you like here at the start of practice. And when you're ready, we can move on. So what we're going to do for our first real active pose, we're going to find our reclined mountain pose, our Tadasana shape. So start with the legs. Feet are flexed, toes are pointing up at the ceiling. You push the big toe mound forward, pull that pinky toe side edge of your foot back a little bit. And then press the heels down into the mat. See if you can pull the kneecaps up towards your hips, push the thighs down towards the mat. Maybe point the tailbone a little bit toward your heels. Don't overarch anything. But we're just trying to recreate the sense of standing, right? As if we were standing on that wall in front of us. Getting along from the heels up through the crown of the head. And then let's do this. Let's lift the arms up to the ceiling. Let the shoulders kind of drop back and in socket. The palms are facing one another. And then let's reach the arms up overhead. We're coming into a full body stretch here. So the hands can just be hovering over the floor. Get long from the heels through the crown of the head. Try not to let the low back flatten all the way to the mat. Keep reaching, keep reaching, keep reaching. And then you can bring the hands back up overhead and then just slowly float them down to the mat. Then we're going to make sure we've got the legs active like we set them up. And then go ahead, just pull the right knee into the chest. Give it a squeeze. Keep the left leg active, okay? Don't forget about that. And then if you want to roll that leg around, so you're moving the thigh bone around in the hip socket, maybe change directions, maybe roll the ankle out. And then when you're ready, this is where we're taking that strap. We're going to bring it around the ball of that right foot, extend the foot up to the ceiling, and then for just a moment, let the foot drop down. So the important thing here, we want to really focus on keeping the leg, that lifted leg in particular, nice and straight. So to do that, really pull the quad muscles to the bone. And then if you want to, you can start to gradually pull that foot back toward the wall behind you. It stops where it stops, right? So you don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to feel anything pulling too hard, but you do want to feel like you're getting a stretch in the back of that lifted leg. So we're getting into the hamstrings here. And then we're going to start working on our core just a little bit. So you can stay right here, or you can start to walk your hands up the strap. And so lifting the shoulders and the head up off of the mat. Keep that nice firm grip on the straps. Keep that left leg nice and straight here. And you can stay right here, or if you want to, you could let go of the strap and reach for that foot. Now you're probably not going to catch the foot, but you're reaching for it. And your core muscles are all engaged right here. And then maybe see if you can pull the foot back a little bit closer to the wall behind you. And then let it go. You can move that strap out of the way. Slowly, with control, go ahead and lower that right leg down to meet the left leg. Once it lands, you can let those feet just drop out to the side for a moment. Notice what that did for the right side. Maybe it feels a little less congested, a little more open. And then we'll come back to our Tadasana shape again. This time, leave that right leg where it is. Pull the left knee into the chest. And same thing here. Take those movements. Notice how it feels. Hips can be pretty different side to side. Just the way we're built. Our sort of postural habits. And then when you're ready, we're going to take the ball, the strap, we're going to bring it around the ball of the left foot. I can get the words out, I swear. Push that big toe mound up into the strap. Straighten that lifted leg. And again, it doesn't matter if it's down here or if it's up here or if it's up here. We just want it straight so that we're feeling that hamstring stretch. We'll breathe into the stretch for a couple rounds of breath. Make sure your low back, again, is not flattening down to the mat. That's one way that the body is trying to sneak out of the stretch. So if you need to tilt that pelvis forward just a little bit, you can go ahead and do that. And then we'll stay here, or again, start to walk your hands up that strap, lifting the shoulders, lifting the head, the upper back up off of the mat. Feel that core engagement here. And then you can stay here with your hands on the strap or let go of the strap. Reach, reach, reach for the foot. Again, see if you can pull that leg back just a tiny bit more. One more round of breath. Don't hold your breath. And then we'll let it go. You move that strap out of the way. Lower the foot down to the mat with control. Keep pressing the right heel into the mat as you're lowering that left leg. And then again, let the feet drop out to the side. See how it feels. See if it feels balanced. We do all these poses for a reason. We want to see the imprint it leaves on the body, the effect on the body. So we'll see what that has done for us. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and pull both knees into the chest. We'll take a little rock back and forth. Maybe come into some little circles here. Kind of works out any little kinks that might be in that low back area. And then when you're ready, we're just going to come up. We're going to find our way to our tabletop. So have your props handy toward the front of the mat. We're going to come onto all fours. So I like to harp on about this, making sure that we're stacking everything right. So the shoulders are above the wrists, the hips are above the knees. Spreading the fingers nice and wide here, like really as much as you can. Grip the mat a little bit, spin the biceps forward, and then we're going to come through our cow pose. So we're lowering the belly, pulling that heart forward, lifting the hips. This is our cow pose, and it's stretching the front body, and it's compressing the back body. And then let's round into our cat, which does the opposite. So here, that back body is stretching, and the front body is compressing. And that's part of what we're working today. So let's do this a few times. Trying not to rush, trying to see if you can feel the spine moving, ideally a vertebrae at a time as you're doing this so that you're getting into the spine from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. And we'll take another round or two. And again, you can just move at your own pace here, right? See if you can match the movement with the breath. So you inhale in the cow and then use that exhale to round through your cat. And then when you're ready, we're just going to come on back to a neutral tabletop. And then from here, go ahead, step your right foot back. Come up onto the ball of that foot. And then we'll just take a few rocks back and forth, stretching into the back of that leg. And then we're going to set up for a spinal balance, which, if you've ever done some training or PT, they'll call it a bird dog sometimes. And what that looks like is you're going to hover that right foot up so that the foot is about hip height and the toes are pointing straight down. So you can peek underneath just to make sure. So again, this is activating that posterior chain, like the glutes are involved here, hamstrings, some of these muscles in the back. And then when you're ready, we're going to reach the left arm up by the left ear. So getting nice and long here from the heel through the left fingertips. The left bicep is right up by the ear. And we don't care how high this goes. We really want to think about length. Keep the breath flowing, and then go ahead, lower the hand, lower the leg. Between sides, it might feel nice to come onto the back of that right hand. Then we'll come back to tabletop, and we'll take it all to the other side. So when you're ready, step the left foot back. Maybe take a few of those rocks back and forth. And then we're going to park the shoulders over the wrists. And then inhale, lifting that left leg up. Trying to keep it straight. So we don't want to let it droop. We want to straighten it. So push through the heel. Pull those quad muscles to the bone. And then if you want to reach the right arm up by the right ear, you can do that. Extending from the left heel to the right fingertips. So with the arm lifted too, you're getting into some of those muscles in the back. That's what we're looking for. One more round of breath. And then go ahead, drop the hand, drop the leg. Let's find our child's pose. So bring the big toes together, separate the knees a little bit, sink those hips down and back. You can bring your forehead to the mat. Take a round or two of breath. Allowing the spine to just neutralize. And then we're going to make our way to our down dog. So just reach the hands as far forward as you can. That's usually about the right distance. Lift the arms up off the mat so the hands are on the mat, but nothing else. And then just lift the hips, tuck the toes. We'll come up and back and find our down dog here. If you want to bend the legs a little bit, just to work out any tightness that might be in them, maybe come up high onto your toes and then sink the hips up and back. Really trying to lengthen from the wrist crease to the sit bones. The head should be kind of parked between the biceps. Now, usually I find when I come into this pose, I kind of knock my head back and forth a little bit just to double check it's in the right spot. If you want to really bend into the knees for a moment and push those hips up and back just a tiny bit more, you can do that, and then straighten the legs. And then on our next inhale, let's rock forward to a plank pose. So this plank pose, you can think of your body like a bit of a shelf here. So the front body is supporting the back body. Maybe you're rounding the shoulders just a little bit here, keeping the legs nice and strong. They're doing a lot of work. And then let's push the hips up, back to down dog again. And let's take a couple rolls like that. So just rock forward to plank. And then push back to down dog. See if you can keep the arms and the legs nice and straight as you do this. The shoulders are working, the hips are working, but you don't need to bend the arms or the legs. We'll take one more. So when you're ready, roll forward to this plank. Hold it for a round of breath. Again, we're strengthening the front body here. And then we're going to bend the elbows and slowly lower down to the mat. And when you land, you can untuck the toes. Let's go ahead and bring the hands down by the hips so we can get out of our wrists after having done all that stuff. We're going to set up for a low cobra. So press the tops of your feet into the mat. Kneecaps lift. Reach back through your big toes so that the ankles are not rolling out. And then on your inhale, head, neck, and shoulders come up off the mat. Come up onto tented fingertips. Maybe reach the arms back. Palms can face one another. You can interlace if you like, or you can grab a strap. So this is really getting into the muscles that run along the spine. Giving them a bit of a workout, strengthening them. Keep the kneecaps lifted, keep the inner thighs spinning up to the ceiling. Tops of the feet are still pressing into the mat. And then exhale, your forehead or one cheek down on the mat. We're going to set up for that again. This time a couple different options I'm going to throw your way. You can bring your hands to your low ribs for a traditional low cobra. Or if you want a little extra challenge, reach the arms forward. So like a superhero type of pose. You can have the palms facing one another. Activate the legs, press down into the mat. And then when you're ready, inhale, head, neck, chest, and arms up off the mat. Maybe even lift the legs. Feel that strengthening the whole length of the back, the whole posterior chain. Reach length more than height. And then you can let it go. Make a little pillow with your hands. You can rest your forehead on top of that. Maybe windshield wiper the knees back and forth a couple times. And then we're going to make our way back to our down dog. Option to come up through a plank or a modified plank on your knees, or if you want, you can stay on the tops of your feet and push up through an upward facing dog. So here, notice it's just the palms of the hands, tops of the feet on the mat. And then we come up and over, back to our down dog. Take a breath here in this down dog. And then looking forward, we'll just walk our feet up to our hands. Inhale, let's come into a halfway lift. So the thing I want you to think about first is, where's the weight? Is it back in the heels? If it is, can you bring it more forward so you're more in the balls of the feet? And then what is the back doing? Are you curving down a little bit? See if you can straighten the back. Get that same feeling we were just playing with those low cobras. Get this maybe 90-degree angle between the torso and the legs. And you can rest your hands on the legs. Maybe don't push so much so you're using the back. And then we'll fold all the way over. Uttanasana. Just let your head hang nice and heavy here. You can even shake it yes or no a couple times. Let the weight of gravity traction out the neck a bit. And then we're going to come up, hinging at the hip, coming with a flat back. Arms reach overhead and then hands come down to heart center. So we're going to take a half sun, a Surya Namaskar A. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale comes back to that flat back. Exhale, fold over. Root down through your feet as you lift the torso. Exhale, hands to heart center. So let's flow through one sun salutation here. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, we swan dive to our forward fold. Inhale to that nice flat back. And then keep the lift. Plant the hands. We're going to step back to plank. So do find your plank. Don't just kind of slide your way through this. Really make sure that you've got the shoulders over the wrists, legs are straight. And then we're going to lower either halfway down or all the way. If you're halfway down in chaturanga, it's the toes that slide back, and then you inhale through your up dog. And then exhale, the hips come up and back. And you know, you can always stick with low cobra, coming all the way down to the mat. Both of those are great on the back. Up dog, that chaturanga combo, does a little more work in the arms, a little bit more in the shoulders as well. Also, good work in the chest, so strengthening the front body. But really, the option is entirely yours. And then push the hips up and back a little bit more. On your inhale, we're going to lift the right leg up. So finding this three-legged dog. And then maybe for a second, just really push up onto the left toes. And then let that heel come down. And it doesn't need to touch the mat. I don't mean come down to the mat. I mean just come down to where you're feeling a nice stretch. Then we're going to rock forward to plank, seeing if you can keep that right leg lifted. And then go ahead, pull the knee into the chest. We're stepping the foot through. Grab your blocks here. We're going to set up for a diagonal lunge. Runner's lunge, sometimes people will call it. Here, one of the things I want you to really think about is making sure that your right knee is right over that right ankle. That alignment helps to protect, you've got all these nice ligaments in the knee. We don't want to overstretch them here. So if you can get the knee right over the ankle, that's a nice, strong, and safe spot for the knee. Get long from the heel of the left foot through the crown of the head. And then again, option time. If you're getting a nice stretch here, this feels good, you can do it. Or we're gonna get into the back a little bit here. So you can bring your hands to heart center. So now there's nothing helping lift the torso and keep it where it is. And you can stay right here or come back to those superhero arms. So we're reaching the arms forward. Big line from the back heel through the lifted fingertips. Nice deep bend in the front leg. Maybe lift the toes of that right foot up for a second. Yes. And then we'll bring the hands to the blocks, and then we're going to straighten into the front leg. I usually like to move the blocks underneath my shoulders to do that. So if you need to adjust, you can do that. And try and keep the back, try and keep it straight here if you can. Again, we're working those muscles a bit. We don't need to curve down, but you can hinge a little deeper if you like, as long as you can keep the back straight. We'll take one more round of breath. And then rebend the front leg. Move the blocks out of the way. We're going to frame the front foot. We're going to step back to plank again. We're going to hold this plank. So we won't hold it long, just maybe another 2 rounds of breath. And then the hips come up and back. So we're back in down dog, noticing how it feels left to right. And then on your next inhale, we're lifting the left leg up. 3-legged dog on this side. Try and keep that lifted leg straight. Try and keep the hips level also. We're not opening up the hips. Hips are just level. We're just focusing on lifting that left leg. And then looking forward. Roll to plank, keep that leg lifted. Then the left knee comes into the chest. We're stepping through, picking up the blocks, setting up for that diagonal lunge again. This time it's the left leg that's forward. Right leg is nice and straight. Feel your quads working here. Again, double check that you've got the left knee over the left ankle. Get long from the heel to the crown of the head, and then you can stay right here. This is a ton of work. Or, if you want to take it a little bit further, bring the hands to heart center. And if you still have a little further to go from here, reach those arms forward. Keep the breath flowing. Feel that nice strong base with your legs. And maybe the hands feel a little light. One more round of breath. And then we'll bring the hands down, push the hips back so we straighten into that front leg. Extend the heart out over that front leg, keeping that spine straight or as straight as you can. Maybe lift the toes up on that left foot. And if you have a tendency to lock your knee or even to really like hyperflex your knee, maybe keep a little bend in that front leg. We'll take one more round of breath. And then we'll rebend the front leg, moving those blocks out of the way, framing up the front foot, and we're coming back to plank. So really think about pulling those quads toward one another, the inner thighs toward one another. Activate the quads, push through the heels. Maybe round a little bit in the upper back like that cat. And then we're pushing back to down dog once again. See if you can get a little longer in this down dog from the wrist creases to the sit bones. As we move through the flow, things, they tend to feel like they open up a bit. So see if you can cultivate a little extra space in these poses. At the bottom of your breath, look forward. We're going to bring our feet to our hands. You can step, you can hop, you can float. Inhale brings you to a halfway lift. Exhale, fold over, and then root to rise. On the inhale, hands come to heart center. So we're going to take a Surya Namaskar B here. So when you're ready, lift the arms, sink the hips down. So finding this chair pose, and this is a tough pose. Hang out here for 2 minutes and see how it feels. We're not actually going to hang out here for 2 minutes. But if you ever want to check it out, Try it. Maybe sink the hips a little more, maybe lift the arms a little higher. And then exhale, fold all the way over, back to that forward fold. Inhale, brings us to that halfway lift. And then we're stepping back, moving through a vinyasa. You can always skip them if you like. Lower halfway down or all the way. Inhale through your back bend. Exhale the hips up and back. We're stepping the right foot forward, pivoting and planting that left heel. So we're setting up for our warrior one. You can just rise, reach the arms to the ceiling. Again, nice deep bend in the front leg. Back leg is working. Nice and strong. Maybe look up, maybe press your palms together. And then exhale, flow through your vinyasa. Using one long exhale to come down. Inhale to come through your back bend. Exhale, back to down dog. Looking forward, we're stepping the left foot forward, pivoting and planting that right heel. Inhale to rise. So in this warrior one, you're sealing off the pinky toe side edge of that right foot, trying not to puff your chest. So knit those low ribs down. Maybe look up, maybe touch the palms. Exhale brings us back through that vinyasa. Inhale the back bend. And exhale, we're back in our down dog. Let's build in a little break here. So go ahead, drop your knees. Make your way to a child's pose, catching the breath. And again, these Surya Namaskar Bs are designed to speed the heart rate up. It's designed to speed the breath rate up. So if you're feeling that, if you're feeling a little out of breath, good. That's what's supposed to happen. We're building that heat. We're building that exertion in the body. And I like to think of it, if you think of like an old-fashioned steam locomotive, all that effort is like we're shoveling coal into the engine. So we do want that. That's going to help condition the body the way we're after. So when you're ready, and you can stay here in child's pose as long as you'd like, we're going to get ready to move on. So go ahead, reach the arms forward, tuck the toes, lift the hips. Coming back to our down dog. And then on your inhale, lift the right leg up again. Try not to bend the left elbow. And then roll forward, pull the knee into the chest, step the foot through. We're setting up for that warrior one again. This time, grab one of your blocks if you've got the blocks. And if you don't have the blocks, don't worry about it. You can just have the palms face one another. But when you're ready, lift the torso. Make sure you've got that nice deep bend in the front leg. And it can be, it doesn't need to be like, whoa, one of those knee down lunges. But you want to feel the front leg working, back legs working. And then if you've got the block, what we're going to do is we're going to bring it out in front of us and then pull your fingers away from the block. So you're not gripping the block. You're squishing it between the palms. Pull the shoulders back and in socket. And then inhale, lift that block up overhead. Maybe lunge down a little deeper in the front leg. Keep the torso to the short edge of the mat. And then from here, real carefully, we're going to hinge the torso forward, rotate onto the ball of the back foot. You can keep the block, you can ditch the block. Arms are out in front of us. And then we're going to make our way to warrior three. So shift the weight forward, reach the arms forward, lift that left leg, feel the back working. Again, you can keep the block, you can let it go. When you're ready to come out, pull the block to the chest if you've still got it. Bend the front leg until you carefully find the back edge of the mat. Here, pop that block out of the way. We're going to take a vinyasa and make our way back to our down dog. Take a nice long inhale, nice long exhale. And then we're going to do that on the other side. So when you're ready, inhale that left leg up, three-legged dog. Roll forward, knee to chest. Step the foot through, pivot and plant that left heel. Grab a block while you're here. And then bring the torso up. So before we go anywhere, if you need to widen your stance for stability, you can do that. If you want to lengthen it for a little more challenge on that front leg, you can lengthen it. From the hip through the crown of the head, we're in our Tadasana shape. So we're trying not to lean forward or lean back. We just want to be in that nice upright spot. And again, we'll take the block between our hands, peel the fingers away, reach the block forward, roll the shoulders back and in socket. And on the inhale, we're lifting that block, reaching it up to the ceiling. See if you can reach a little more. And keep breathing through this. This is a tough sequence, so we don't want to hold our breath. That won't help. Take an inhale and hinge that torso forward. This is where you have to shift onto the ball of the back foot. Maybe hover the torso a little lower. And then we're shifting forward, floating into that warrior three, keeping the arms engaged, keeping that right leg lifted, push through the heel, pull the block to the chest, carefully bend the front leg till you find the back edge of the mat. Let's move that block, frame the front foot, step back to plank, make your way through a vinyasa. Inhale. Stretching the front body. Exhale, back to down dog. So from here, let's drop our knees. Let's cross over our shins. Come down onto our seats. So we've been working the back. Let's come back to focusing on strengthening the front body a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our legs out in front of us. Lie back just the way we started this flow. And what I'd like you to do is bring your hands and kind of nestle them on either side of your hips. So if you take a peek, the palms are down. I've got the thumbs kind of under my glutes. Not all the way under, but just kind of nestled on the side. Then we're going to lift the legs up to the ceiling. We're going to take some leg lowers. This will build the core. So feet are pointed to the ceiling. Take an inhale, and on the exhale, keep the legs straight. Lower them about a third of the way down. Take an inhale. Lower another third. Take an inhale. Exhale. The heels are just hovering over the mat. And a nice long inhale to bring them back up to the ceiling. We're going to do it again. Take an inhale, exhale, lower about a third of the way. Inhale, lower that second third. Inhale, lower and hover. Inhale the legs back up. We're going to do it one more time and then we'll be done. Take an inhale, lower that first third. Inhale, lower that second third. Inhale, lower the final third and hover. Push through those heels. And then we're inhaling the legs up, and then you can pull the knees into the chest. Once again, curling up into this nice tight little ball shape, rolling a little bit back and forth. And then we're going to come back into a tabletop. I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to set up for dolphin and dolphin plank. So before we move into that, I just want to show you what we want to do. When we're weight bearing in this position here, which we're going to be in, we don't want the elbows splaying out to the side because that puts some weird pressure on the rotator cuff muscles in the shoulders, which is not ideal for them. So we want to keep the elbows pinned in. A great way to do that, if you've got a strap, is to open the loop of the strap so it goes from that like front shoulder blade bumps to the one on the other side, so the head of the shoulders. And then what you can do is you can take that strap and just put it right above the elbows so you can see where it is. And then you can come down on the mat like that. Now, a couple options here too. You can either just put your palms on the mat, or you can interlace the fingers and tuck the bottom pinky toe under so it's not going to get squished. Or you could hold a block, framing it with your index fingers and your thumb like this. So you decide, if you don't have a strap, just keep the elbows from splaying. Just keep them right under the shoulders. And then when you're ready, lift the hips, straighten into the legs. So this is our dolphin pose. Maybe walk the feet in a little bit more. And really, this pose is like down dog, but you're on your forearms. So that extension's coming from the elbow up to the sit bones, and then the sit bones down to the heels. On your next inhale, go ahead, lift that right leg up, right-legged. It's a three-legged dolphin, if such a thing could be said to exist. Maybe lift that right leg up a little higher. Nice. And then lower the leg down, and we're going to lift the left leg up. So pushing through that lifted heel, feeling those muscles, keeping that leg lifted. And then we'll lower it down. And then from here, walk the feet back. So we're finding dolphin plank. So we've got the shoulders over the elbows. Elbows are not splaying. Legs are working, so push through the heels. Pull the inner thighs toward one another. Feel the front body working. Feel the back body stabilizing. The world record for this is 9 hours. Should we go for it? We're not going to do that. I have questions about how that's even possible. We'll be here for another 3 rounds of breath. If you need to drop your knees, go for it. Keep the breath slow and slender and strong. 1 more round of breath. And then go ahead, drop those knees. You can sit back on your heels. Get that strap out of the way if you were using it. And then we're going to come down in our child's pose. This time, why don't you try bringing the knees together. Just drape the front body over the knees. A little different than when we widen the knees and put the torso between them. So just try it, see how it feels. Let the breath start to resolve itself. Maybe back to your normal breathing pattern if you've been lengthening the breath. Let everything just relax. Let the shoulders round forward. And then let's sit up on our heels. We're going to come down onto our back to finish things up. So why don't you grab a block or 2 blocks? We're going to set up for a bridge. So option, if you feel like you've gotten enough work done, you could just lift yourself up into a supported bridge where you lift the hips and put one of the blocks underneath your sacrum. Or if you'd like an active bridge before we go anywhere, just make sure you can touch the back of your heels with your fingertips. And then when you're ready, just push into the heels. Roll the shoulders a little bit under your back. Push the heels up. Or you're pushing the hips up. You're pushing the heels down into the mat. Try not to let the legs splay out. So maybe even imagine you had a block between your thighs and you're pressing it. And then if you're in bridge, you can go ahead and take a block or maybe 2 blocks. I tend to like 2 blocks, but I have kind of long legs. So you can put that right on that flat spot of your back between the low back and the tailbone or your glutes. Let the weight of the pelvis settle down onto that block. Hands come out to the side, palms are facing up to the ceiling. And you can stay right here, or if you'd like, you could lift both legs up to the ceiling. Coming into this nice restorative waterfall shape. Hopefully countering some of the heat that we generated through this flow. Maybe flex the feet, point the toes. And roll the ankles out a little bit. And then you can hang out here as long as it feels good for you. If you want to move on, we're going to lower the feet to the mat. Carefully slide the blocks out if you were using them, and then you can let the spine settle down to the mat. Walk the feet to the outside edges of the mat. Let the knees just knock together. If that's not comfortable for you, you can always put a block between the knees. Some people find that more comfortable, so just see what works for you. Just allow everything to kind of soften a bit here. And then since this flow is mostly focused on strengthening the back and the front, let's make sure we sneak in a little bit of twist here. So let's go ahead and cross the right leg over the left. Let's slide the hips over to the right. You can let the knees drop down to the left. I like to let them drop on a block so that this can be a nice, relaxing, restorative position. You could let the feet hover or the knees hover. You could let them come down to the floor if that's okay, but we don't necessarily want to be lifting the right shoulder up off of the mat. So we want to try and keep the shoulders down on the mat, the shoulder blades, maybe looking out over the right shoulder, letting the body soften, letting the muscles relax, release any tension. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring the knees back up through center, uncross, recenter those hips on the mat, and we'll go the other way. So this time you can cross the left leg over the right, slide the hips over to the left, knees drop down to the right. Again, you can let it land on a block, maybe gazing out over the right shoulder, or you could reach that, the left shoulder. You could reach that left arm out to the side. Just feeling the weight of gravity, pulling the body down onto the mat. And if you're holding any tension anywhere, just see if you can release it, let it go. The flow is over. Sometimes we hold tension where we don't even think. You know, are you clenching your jaw a little bit? Are you furrowing your eyebrows? You just try and soften everything. And then we'll come back through center, uncross. And we're just going to finish up by either pulling everything in again to that little ball shape, or maybe taking a happy baby, grabbing the outside edges of your feet, pulling the knees down towards the mat, or really anything that's going to feel like a good way for you to close off your practice before we're going to take a Shavasana. So for Shavasana, you could bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees drop open. If you do have those blocks, you could prop them under the thighs. This can be a nice shape for your Shavasana. Otherwise, a traditional Shavasana would be extending the legs out, reach the arms out to the side, palms pointed up to the ceiling. And just allow yourself some deep relaxation here. A couple of minutes. It's up to you how long you want to stay there. I encourage you to stay there for a couple of minutes anyways. Maybe set a timer or just remind yourself not to fall asleep. But this flow is really about trying to explicitly target the back, that posterior chain, and the front chain of the body, getting into the abs, the hip flexors, getting it on the backside into the glutes and the muscles that run along the spine. Those are areas that are just going to help us maintain our good posture as we move through life, so that we're not starting to slowly hunch over in either direction, so that we're balanced, you know, front to back. That's an important thing for us too, an important thing for our practice. If you like this, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and you won't miss a flow. And also, if there's anything that you'd like to see in terms of a flow or a focus area, just leave it in the comments. I do read them all, so we can throw in stuff if you'd like to see it here on the channel. So thanks for joining me. I hope I see you on the mat again. Take care.